But what if you don't live in those 7 swing states? There are 43 other states, which we're not covering nearly as much. And we want to talk about that for the next few minutes with Rosetta Okohson. She's the founder and CEO of Myers Okohson Political Consulting. She's doing some work right now on the Democratic campaign, but we're talking bipartisan things today. She's joining me live from St. Louis, Missouri. Good morning, Rosetta, and thank you very much for being with me.
Good morning, Heather. How are you?
Well, I am fine, thank you. I need to know, how are things in Missouri, because I'm not talking about it hardly ever. What is the state of play in the state of Missouri this election?
Yeah, no, I'm so excited. You're right. There are 43 other states that are not a part of this magnificent 7, if you will, that are working just as hard to make sure that voters are engaged. And Missouri is certainly one of those states. We have some really important ballot initiatives that are driving people to the ballot box. We have some important races where a supermajority in the Republican House could be broken. There's some really important races that are happening here. And as we like to say, we know national attention may not come here, but that's okay. Missouri will save herself.
Well, it's interesting. I was just looking into a little bit of the electoral history, because Missouri used to be one of these key swing states up until 2008. When voters chose John McCain over Barack Obama, and then things changed, and then it's been sort of reliably red ever since. Am I getting that right, the political history?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And even in 2008, the race between the two presidential candidates, Barack Obama lost Missouri by about 3,000 votes. And so it was a very tight race then. It's trended red up until then. I think the issue is that people here, because it's trended red for that length of time, people are also just frustrated that the things that they need are not happening, right? Our progressive ballot initiatives, our initiative petition process has been the glimmer of hope, if you will, to make sure that the people get what they need in this state. That resulted in marijuana being passed a couple years ago in our state. We have paid family leave on the ballot. We also have an amendment to restore abortion rights in Missouri that is happening here. So those things are really driving energy this year.
So they're going on. I should probably say, though, from 1904 to 2004, Missouri was classic bellwether in that it chose the president every time. So that has really changed. So when it comes to the presidential component this time, not getting that much attention, not getting a lot of attention, does it even feel like there's a presidential campaign going on? Are there political ads for the presidential camps? Are there, campaign visits and stops? Does it even feel like 5 days from now there will be a presidential vote?
Yeah, it definitely feels like there will be a presidential vote 5 years from now. And I want to clarify something. As a person who runs campaigns, it is impossible to be everywhere all the time.
Right.
And at the national level, trying to tackle 50 states at the same time is not real. It's never going to be real. And so here, relying on state parties, candidates that are running, other issues to really drive and help. The ads are certainly coming through. Our mailboxes have plenty of things inside of them. Our radio ads, and Thursday Night Football is interrupted, by whatever ad is playing. But I think the larger piece here is maybe national attention for the presidential race isn't coming here, but there have been surrogates that have come and visited. There are hotspot events that are here, and the campaigns are certainly raising money from people that live right here in Missouri. So I wouldn't say that we are a non-factor. I just would say that we're probably not the hyper-focus.
And I'm wondering, and you have an explanation for it because you're politically active and have an appreciation for the national requirement. But for people who see so much attention on these 7, how do they feel about that? Do they ever wonder, does my vote really matter? Does it affect turnout at all?
I think does my vote really matter is always going to be a thorough line that has to be explained, especially to what I like to call regular people, right? There are some people that are nerds that live and breathe this, that are looking at data, that are paying attention to money being spent in campaigns. And then there's the everyday person who's trying to get their kid to school and hoping that maybe they'll be able to afford one vacation a day or a year. So, the difference of who is paying attention and how that message is being received, I think at the end of the day, voters only have one question, and it is, what have you done for me lately, right? It's not just a Janet Jackson song. It's real life. They want to know how you're engaging. They want to know if you're going to show up for me. They want to know if I vote for you, is it going to affect my everyday life? And I think that's the message that at the national level and at the local level is the question that has to be answered. And in our state, that has resulted in people turning to progressive initiative petition process and voting for things like marijuana being legalized, or gambling is on the ballot in the state of Missouri this year, or abortion, and where we fit on that.
So at the state and local level, and propositions that are also on the ballot, this is where there are still activism. Is there ever a sense that there are consequences, negative consequences, for not being one of the states that's getting so much national focus?
I mean, I think donors are frustrated, especially the donors that live here, don't understand. I was a part of a earlier conversation where we talked to folks, and we were basically told Missouri is not a tier 1 state. They're tiered out. We were told that. People left that conversation frustrated. But I think the folks that are on the ground that are having conversations, especially folks that sit in operative roles like I do, understand that that's not real. So it's up to us to make sure that we're driving voters. And what we've seen because of early voting, Missouri's really her first election where we've had early voting for 2 weeks, no excuse, absentee, in-person voting. And so that's been going since October 22nd, which has resulted in long lines from day one, to the point where election authorities in different counties are adding extra days and adding extra staff and adding extra time because people are voting early. So people are showing up. They're casting their ballots. They're ready to go. And we've got 5 days left. So that's really encouraging.
That's interesting, that level of engagement, despite the fact, exactly what we've been talking about for these last few minutes. Let me ask you, there's a lot of concern throughout the United States in certain quarters that so few states, small states, have such an outsized influence. Within your state, within Missouri, is there a push for electoral college reform to remove that situation?
I mean, there's certainly been talk of it. It feels like one of those things that always kind of comes up, that's always a part of a conversation. But I have not seen any real legs that have moved towards that. It's sort of a conversation as you're having with friends about being frustrated about whatever, and people result into this needs to be a change. But I've not seen concentrated effort to actually act upon that.
What a pleasure to have this discussion. We've been kind of tossing that around. All we talk about is these 7. What's going on in these other states, Rosetta? So you've told us so clearly today, and it's been wonderful to have you on our program. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you all.